Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video I will give you guys a complete event guide for the revival of last year's Christmas event. I'll try to cover everything ranging from the summoning campaign, the welfare Santa Attila, the new features added in this event, the event currencies, event bonus servant, event limited CEs, shop and lottery, and finally I'll finish it with the 3-turn farming guide for all 3 currencies. I'll try and go as fast as I can, but it will be probably a long video, so I'll put timestamps in the description if you want to skip around. There will be a lot of information on the screen, so you can pause the video if you need it, and you can resume after you have read everything. Before we start in earnest with the event guide, I wanted to thank you, all of you guys that have been sticking with me for so long. And for those of you that are new to the channel, please, if you like this kind of videos, consider dropping a like and subscribing to help me keep going with this kind of content. It's very much appreciated. And of course, as always, please forgive my pronunciation, as I'm not a native English speaker. Let's get going with the requirement to participate in this event. Since this is a follow-up of the 7 Singularity story, you'll need to clear Babylonia in order to participate, and as always you'll need to complete Solomon in order to attempt the challenge quest at the end of the event. I highly suggest you guys to read the story if this is your first time playing this event. It's directly related to the main storyline, so don't skip it, it's worth it. This revival is a light version of the previous Christmas event from last year, with reduced enemies HP in free quest, lower event shop prices, and of course the lottery is no longer unlimited, only 10 boxes can be cleared in total. As always, we have 3 event currencies that can be farmed in the free quest, and their drops can be boosted by event bonuses and also event bonus servants that we will cover later on. Of course, we have a currency for the lottery, and its drops can be boosted by the event shop CE. Completing all the main quest and clearing 5 Lotto boxes will give you a permanent copy of Santa Attila. And for additional copies you just need to buy them from the shop using the currencies that you have obtained from the lottery. Moving on to the gacha, you have another chance for getting best ring, since Ereshkigal is limited, so go broke if you want her. In any case, as you can see from the daily rate up on the screen, all 5-star servants in this banner have a solo rate up. So if you want, you can try to fish for Enkidu or the original Attila. Aside from that, this is also a good opportunity to MP5 Jaguar Warrior, since she is story locked. Now, just a little digression on Ereshkigal. She is surely the best AoE Lancer with 50% battery at this moment. Of course, Lartoria is better than her at farming thanks to her NP refund and her higher damage. But since we live in the Skadi era, let's just say that Parvati and Valkyries have already dethroned Lartoria from the top farmer spot. Instead, Ereshkigal is a very good semi-support thanks to her 3rd skill and Noble Phantasm, and she is very tanky thanks to her 1st skill, so she still has an active role during challenge quest. Considering all that I have said so far, Ereshkigal is a very solid pick if you lack an AoE Lancer. However, if you already have Skadi and Parvati or Valkyries and you are a free-to player, you might just want to skip this banner or save some quartz for the next coming banner for Lost World 3. Pretty Boy and Lelouch are surely among the best servants of this year. Concerning the welfare Santa Attila, this is your second and last chance to get her, and I highly advise you guys to do so, especially if you are free-to-players. You'll get an archer with single target quick NP that deals a lot of damage and generate a lot of stars. A targetable 20% MP battery, very much appreciated if you are free-to-player. And finally a targetable 30% MP damage buff. This last MP damage buff is especially good since the top tier support usually don't give MP damage buff, aside from Tamamo with her rank up next year. This skill set makes Santa Attila a very good semi-support that is useful even if you are not free-to-player. In order to get your first permanent copy, you just need to complete the main quest section 8 and obtain the War God exchange ticket from the 5th lottery grand prize. By then you can purchase from the shop additional copies to reach MP5, exchanging the crystal wreath that you have obtained from the first 4 lottery boxes. Santa Attila also gets 100% attack bonus for this event, and she also boosts the drop for the gold currency, so she will be very useful during farming. That's the reason why I highly advise you guys to level her up fast before you start farming in earnest. Her unique ascension material is the Santa Mustache that you can obtain from the first 4 lottery boxes. Since we are talking about Welfare Servant, we have some new features added with this event. That is to say, from the 6th copy on, each time you claim a new copy of the same event Limited Servant, 1 rare Prism will be sent to your present box. So if you have already gotten all your copies of Santa Attila last year, you'll get 5 rare Prism. Unfortunately, this doesn't work for past event Limited Servant. This new feature only works for Santa Attila and for future event Limited Servant. And just to be clear, this only works for the 4-star ones. However, speaking of all the Welfare Servants, if you have unused Ascension material from the previous events, you can now exchange them for 1 million QPs in the Da Vinci shop. Let's move on with the event currencies and their drop bonuses. For currencies, we have the bronze hollow candle, the silver corpse bell, and the gold snow baby. They are your standard event currencies that you can exchange for rewards in the event shop. In particular, remember to buy from the shop the new Limited CE that will boost the drop for Descent of the Underworld needed to roll on the lottery. For this event we also have some event bonus servant that will boost the drop of the 3 base currencies. That way, even free-to-players that don't plan to roll in the gacha can still have some nice drop bonuses. You can check the chart on the screen right now for the event bonus servant divided by class. Of course, as usual, we also have the 3 gacha CEs that will increase the drop for the 3 base currencies, and as we said before, the shop CE for the drop bonus for Send of the Underworld. For all the CEs, the drop bonus is +1 for the base CE and +2 for the maximally broken version. For Mary Ship, you can only get 4 copies from the event shop, so if you haven't played the last event, you'll need to rely on quest drop in order to maximally break it after the event. Speaking about their utility after the end of this event, Starry Nights is the only one that I will recommend to you guys. It's a pretty solid CE for a Buster Crit Servant. The only downside is that you'll need to maximally break it in order to reach 50% start MP bar. Mary Ship can also be a good CE for your quick TPS or for a support to function as a star generator. So by all means try to get your 5th copy if you haven't played the last event. In order to clear the event shop, you'll need 3600 Snow Baby, 2600 corpse bell and 2500 hollow candle. For the 10 lottery boxes you'll need a total of 6000 Sand of the Underworld, and as we said before, you'll get all the material needed for ascending Santa Attila and to reach MP5 from the first 5 lottery boxes. Now this is the important part. From the lottery you can get a maximum of 40 crystal wreaths, and as you can see on the screen you'll need 36 in order to clear the event shop. However, you'll need 5 crystal wreaths in order to clear the last free quest for this event, called the Secret Party, that will reward you with a summon ticket. In other words, we don't have enough crystal wreaths in order to both clear Secret Party for the summon ticket and also clear the event shop. However, you don't need to panic, you can still exchange Sand of the Underworld for extra crystal wreath. I just wanted to warn those of you that don't want to clear all the lottery to wait and first clear Secret Party and then exchange crystal wreath in the shop. Speaking about the event shop, you can check on the screen right now the materials that are available this time around, as well as the first clear rewards for completing the main quest and the free quest for this event. For rolling the lottery you'll need the Sand of the Underworld, 600 for each box, so a total of 6000 to clear all 10 of the boxes. As usual, you can reset the box once you get the grand prize, but since we only have a limited number of boxes, I would advise you to clear it all if you can manage. You can check on the screen the total amount of material that you'll get if you manage to clear all the 10 boxes. Regarding AP management, if you only want to reach max ascension for Santa Attila and get her to MP5, you won't need any apples. For more details you can check the chart on the screen right now, and you can see that you'll need only half of your natural AP regen in order to get your copy of Santa Attila, even if this is your first time playing this event. If instead you want to clear the shop, then you'll need to use apples. As you can see on the screen, even for first timer you'll only need about twice the natural AP regen if you want to clear all the shop, including the monuments. And of course, if you have Gacha CE or Gacha Servant, you can speed up this process by a lot. Moving on to some general farming strategy, since this time free quests are time gated by the main quest progress, I would advise you guys to save your apple until the later nodes are unlocked. For the last free quest, Secret Party, clear it only once for the summon ticket. It's more efficient to exchange crystal wreath for QP than to run Secret Party. Generally speaking, a total of +4 sand drop bonus on average when farming is more than enough to clear out the lottery boxes well before the event shop will be cleared, especially with a full shop clear. For this reason, when choosing supports, try to prioritize Gacha CEs that provide currency drop bonuses, unless you have plenty of Gacha CE yourself and instead do not have any massively broken lottery drop bonus CE. If you only care about Santa Attila, you can run the 7th gate exclusively for lottery currency, since all the items required can be obtained from the first 5 boxes. Just be warned that this is not efficient if you also want some other item from the event shop. Finally, before we move on to the 3 turns farming guide, you can check on the screen the free quest overview with the best farming location for each currency. For the drop rates on the lower part of the screen, they are calculated without any external drop bonus, so no Gacha CE, no Shop CE, no Event Servants. Just a final tip for Santa Attila: attack buff and card effectiveness buffs are multiplicative with her damage bonus, so they work best for her. In other words, if you have, for example, Holy Knight Supper CE, do not equip it to her if you can avoid it. In the following calculation for the 3 turns farming composition, I will assume MP1 for Gacha Servant and MP5 for Welfare, level 10 for damaging and NP charging skills, level 20 for all CEs, at least the one with attack stat, both base and max limit broken, and of course minimum damage in order to guarantee the kill with MP only. The 4th gate is the best farming spot for Hollow Candle. Since this is a revival of a previous event before the Skadi era, you can see that the format is 3-2-2, so no looping this time around, guys. Since the enemies are all berserkers and the secondary mobs in room 2 and room 3 only have around 20k HP, you can use single target damage dealer for both room 2 and room 3. A single target Buster MP is recommended since you will get an attack bonus for the following face cards, and since all the mobs are berserkers, even your support caster can finish the job with their face cards. Regarding servants with special damage, in room 2 we have Proto Arthur for the Spriggan, and in room 3 we have a lot of them since Banyan is a berserker. For female we have Carmilla and Jack, for humanoid we have Etho and Nightingale, and as always Gilgamesh for every servant, and Raiko because she has Earth attribute. I nearly forgot about Tesla, but as I said before, you'll want to use single target MP for both room 2 and room 3. Regarding Event Servant for this node, the only ones with damaging NP are Attila, Jaguar Warrior and Medusa Lily. Since none of them has MP charge, you'll need to bring a CE with starting MP if you won't use them, but that way you will lose a slot for the 3-star event CE and you will increase the party cost comparing to bringing the event CE. For that reason, it's more efficient to bring servants with MP batteries equipped with the event CE. For room 1, Paracelsus or Nitocris are your best option. For room 2, the only option is Sanzang with a big MP battery, since Cersei needs too much help in order to always kill the Spriggan in room 2. To give you an idea, even with Black Grail, Waver attack buff and Attila NP damage buff, she can fail to kill the Spriggan, so she will need Merlin, but Merlin can charge the same way as Waver. For room 3, your best option is Santa Attila, strangely enough. She will only need a 50% C with some minor buffs and the master attack buff in order to always kill with MP only. Other option includes Kintoki, but you'll need Skadi with all of her skill used in room 3 plus the master attack buff in order to always kill with MP only. Sanzang is not advised in room 3 since even with Merlin and master attack buff and the MP damage buff from Attila, you can't reliably kill in room 3. Putting all that I have said together, you'll get this best setup for the bronze node. Paracelsus will clear room 1, then you can swap in Attila and give her NP damage buff to Sanzang to clear room 2. Instead, as we said before, just save the attack master for room 3 for Attila. This is definitely the best setup for the bronze node, since you use Santa Attila with her 100% damage bonus, and in room 2 you'll lead the way with single target Buster MP for an attack bonus to the following face card in order to always clear the secondary mob. However, if you can't level up Santa Attila fast enough in order to farm this node, you can also use this alternative setup instead. Since Kintoki needs all of Skadi buffs in room 3 plus the master attack buff, you'll need a servant that can clear room 2 by himself. Chloe is definitely the easiest option among the cast. However, if you have Ozzy and a Kaleidoscope, you can use him instead, and that way you can still use Paracelsus instead of Nitrogris. Finally, we have the free-to-player setup for the bronze node. Remember to use Attila MP damage buff on Arash for room 2 and he will always skill with MP only. If you don't have that skill leveled up, you can use Aerial Drive C for Arash and he will kill with only weather attack buff. For this free-to-player setup to work, you'll need a servant with 30% battery, so instead of Arash you can also use Sig with Dive to Blue Sea, for example. However, don't use Spartacus, since even with Aerial Drive C he has attribute disadvantage, so he can't reliably kill in room 2. As I said, at least 30% MP battery means that you can use even servant with 50% MP battery like Chloe or Kintoki. But since this time using an AoE MP doesn't cost you a slot for the event CE, it's better if you use Arash or Sig. That is to say, you want to avoid RNG for face card in room 2 if you can afford it. The 5th gate is the best farming node for corpse bells. As before, the format is 3-2-2, and for the same reason as the previous bronze node, we can use a single target MP in room 2, since the secondary mob only has around 20k HP. And since he is an assassin, even our support caster can be used to clear the room with face card after the MP. This time, however, we will need an AoE MP in room 3, since the two enemies have over 100k HP. Regarding servants with special damage, since all the mobs in room 1 and 2 are demonic, you can use Shooting Doji Caster or Raiko. On that note, Raiko also has damage bonus against both Danzo and Chioma in room 3. To top things off, Merlin can be used with Raiko and Shooting Doji, since they both have a Buster MP, and he will give you a drop bonus for this node. Speaking of event bonus servant, even Paracelsus is a very good pick for clearing room 1. Instead, Gilgamesh Caster is not ideal in this node, since you will use him to clear room 3, but he doesn't have the necessary damage if you have him at MP1. And since you'll want to bring Merlin, you'll want a Buster MP for room 3. As we just said, Paracelsus is the best option for room 1. Santa is once again your best bet for room 2, since with the 80% Buster buff from the event CE, she can always kill with MP only, using only the 20% attack buff from Merlin. For room 3 you'll definitely want an AoE Buster MP to use Merlin Buster buff. Your best option is Nerocaster with Aerial Drive CE, followed by Raiko with a Max Limit Broken Kaleidoscope. In any case, both Nero and Raiko, even if you use a level 100 CE with plus 2000 attack stat, will deal a minimum of 19k damage. That is to say, this time around, even the best possible setup with 5 event Cs is not a guarantee 3-turn clear. However, breaking the rules I've put down before in this video, you can use this setup as an exception, In fact, if you have MP2 Nerocaster and high-level aerial drive CE, you can reliably clear this node in 3 turns. But let's return to the previous rule I put down in the beginning. Following those rules, this is the best possible setup for the silver node. Paracelsus will clear room 1, and by doing so he will refund more than 20% MP bar. He only needs Merlin attack buff and his own arts buff in order to refund 20%. So in order to farm quickly, you can avoid using his or Sanzang MP gain buff. Even Sanzang only needs Merlin attack buff in room 2 to kill, and you'll be able to kill the secondary mobs with face card thanks to the first card buster bonus. In room 3 you'll want to use again Paracelsus MP first for the overcharge for Nero. In alternative, you can also use Nerocaster first for the buster first card bonus. With this setup, as I said before, using level 20 CEs, you will always kill Chiome in room 3. Regarding Danzo, if you use a level 100 aerial drive C on Nerocaster, you can leave max 15k HP for face cards. As I said before, you can also use Raiko with a max limit broken kaleidoscope, and the damage is slightly lower, but the considerations are exactly the same as before. Of course, this is a very expensive setup, since you'll need a total of 6 kaleidoscopes. One last tip for all this optimal setup: remember that Sanzang and Merlin can boost critical star drop rates in room 2 in order to produce a lot of star and guarantee a kill with crits for Danzo in room 3. Moving on to the free-to-player setup, Paracelsus will clear room 1 with only his arts buff, so charge him with Attila and save Weaver attack buff in room 2 for Attila. For room 3, remember to save Attila MP damage buff for Sig in order to always kill Chiome even with a level 20 CE. As with the previous setup, Sig can fail to kill Danzo with MP only, even with a level 100 CE. In that case, it can leave max 24k HP to Danzo for face cards. Even with this free-to-player setup, you will generate a lot of star in room 2 thanks to Santa Attila MP, so for room 3 you'll have a lot of star in order to crit Danzo to death. Finally, I wanted to give you guys this setup that is free-to-player plus a kaleidoscope. That's because if you have a kaleidoscope, you can replace Weaver with Merlin, and you can reach the same drop bonus as with the previous optimal setup. Of course, with Merlin you will deal slightly less damage in room 2 and room 3, but you will always kill with MP only in any case the higher mobs in room 2 and Chiome in room 3. Remember to use Merlin star gen buff in room 2, and you can save his crit buff for room 3 after you have created enough star in room 2 with Santa Attila MP. The 6th gate is the best farming node for Snow Baby. It's the only node in this video with a format of 3-2-1, so naturally you'll want to use single target MP in both room 2 and room 3. However, this time our support caster won't have class advantage in room 2, so bad RNG can be a problem. So, to avoid trouble, we can use a setup with buffs that last until turn 4. Regarding servants with special damage, in room 2 the Hydra is both demonic and beast, so both Protochu and Raiko can be used. In room 3, Tomoe is both an earth servant and a demonic one, so Raiko has a massive 100% special damage against her. So if you feel brave enough, you can use Raiko for room 2 and generate a lot of star and crit Danzo to death in room 3 with the right face card. For this node we have 7 event bonus servants, of which 4 are free-to-player friendly. Since this time the event CE costs as much as a 4-star servant and we have a lot of welfare that we can use, it's more efficient to try and maximize the event bonus servants instead of the 5-star event CEs. For room 1 your best option is Ereshkigal, but since the mobs have very low HP, even Ishtar can be used. They can both kill without any external buff and they both give the same 20% attack buff to the whole squad. Just to be precise, with a standard level 20 CE, Ishtar can leave max 1k HP to the higher mobs for a guarantee face card. For room 2, Ereshkigal has very low damage even with Merlin and a double Ereshkigal setup, so you can avoid her. Jean Lily has better damage, but we are still not there. We'll need a single target MP again. And of course our best option is once again Santa Attila. This time she will also give a drop bonus for the gold currency, so it's a win-win situation. And of course for room 3 the best choice is Enkidu. Putting all that together we have the best possible setup for the gold node. Yes, this time you will need a max limit broken copy of the event CE for the starting 50% MP bar. You can give it to both Ereshkigal or Enkidu. Since this is a revival of a previous event, you should be able to find a support slot with Ereshkigal and a max limit broken copy. In any case, you'll need to use Santa Attila and P-Charge on the one that doesn't have a max limit broken copy of the event CE. As we said before, Ereshkigal will clear room 1 by herself. Next is Santa Attila in room 2 and finally Enkidu in room 3. Remember to save Attila MP damage buff for Enkidu in room 3. Regarding the master attack buff, you can use it both in room 2 and room 3 in order to guarantee a kill for Santa Attila or Enkidu. Without the master attack buff, Santa Attila can fail to kill the Hydra in room 2. It's a 20% chance, so 1 out of 5, and in any case she can leave max 6k HP to the Hydra. Same situation for Enkidu in room 3, without the master attack buff he can leave max 22k HP to Tomoe. You'll just need to decide each time if you want to use the master attack buff in room 2 or room 3, depending on your face cards. If you are in doubt, I would advise you to use the master attack buff in room 2, since in any case for room 3 you'll have a lot of star and a lot of buff active, and Enkidu also decrease Tomoe defense. If you are really unfortunate with 5 waiver face card in room 2, just remember that your buff will last until turn 4. So you can just stun the Hydra and kill the secondary mobs with face card the next turn, thanks to the stars generated. And you will still be able to use all your buffs the next turn for Enkidu in room 3. Before the completely free-to-player setup, I just wanted to give you guys this one, since with only a kaleidoscope you'll get much better drop rates for this node. Jean Lily will kill by herself in room 1, for room 2 you'll use again Santa Attila, and for room 3 you use Jean Berserker. Remember to use both Attila MP charge and her MP damage buff on Jean Berserker. If you use 2 level 100 CEs for both Santa Attila and Jean Berserker, you'll be able to kill with MP only, using the master attack buff in room 3. If instead you'll use level 20 CEs for both of them, then Santa Attila will kill 60% of the time with MP only without the master attack buff in room 2, while Jolter will leave max 13k HP to Tomoe in room 3 with the master attack buff. You can also use the Master Attack buff in room 2 to guarantee the kill for Santa Attila, but then in room 3 Jolter will leave max 47k HP to Tomoe. Again, as I said before, you can choose where you want to use the Master Attack buff depending on the face card that you will get in room 2. Or of course you can level up your Golden Sumo and save your attack buff for room 3. Finally, we can close things up with a completely free-to-player setup. Since as free-to-player the best charger is Weaver, you'll need at least 2 servants with 30% MP battery and 1 servant with 20% MP battery. But since Santa Attila, Jean Lily and Jean Berserker all have only 20% MP battery, then you'll need a rush plus another charger in the backline. The situation drastically improves if you have a kaleidoscope. That's the reason why I put down the previous setup for free-to-player plus kaleidoscope. For this setup you'll want to charge a rush with Attila MP charge, since he doesn't need any external buff in order to kill with MP only. This time you can use the Master Attack buff in room 2 for Santa Attila in order to guarantee the kill, since with Shakespeare buff Jolter will be able to kill with MP only all the times in room 3. As before, you'll want to use Santa Attila MP damage buff on Jolter, of course. For both this setup and the previous one, remember to use Jolter attack buff in room 2 if you have a face card, since it lasts for 3 wall turns. And again, all the buffs will last until turn 4 if you are unlucky with RNG. The last node we will cover in this video is the best farming node for Sand of the Underworld. For this final node we return to the 3-2-2 pattern, so once again we want to use single target MPs in both room 2 and room 3, since the secondary mobs only have around 27k HP. As before, we don't have class advantage for our support casters, so we'll need to use setups that have buff that last until turn 4 in order to be safe. Regarding servants with special damage, this time around all the mobs, with the exception of the Manticore in room 2, are dragons, even Artoria in room 3. So in theory we can use Sigurd or Siegfried, but since they don't have class advantage, I would advise you to go somewhere else. For room 3, yes, Gilgamesh can be used, but he will need higher MP level in order to be useful. In fact, we want single target MPs for room 3, as we said before. So at least you can use MHX Alter in room 3, since she has bonus damage against the Saber class. This time the drop bonus is given only by the event CE, so we want to bring as many servants with big battery as possible, while keeping the party cost as low as possible, in order to bring the maximum amount of event CEs. For room 1, since the mobs have very low HP, the best possible choice is Nitocris followed by Paracelsus. For Nitocris you'll need either 30% attack or MP damage, your choice, in order to always kill with MP only the mobs in room 1. To be very precise, you can leave max 2k HP to the higher level mobs with a level 20 event C on Nitocris for a guarantee face card clear. If instead you want to use Paracelsus, then you'll need both the 30% attack buff and the 30% MP damage buff. In alternative, if you level up your event C using a maximum broken copy with at least 1400 attack stat, then Paracelsus will be able to kill with MP only every time the 2 lower mobs with only 30% attack or MP damage buff. For room 2 your best option is Chloe, since she has attribute advantage on the Manticore and she will always be able to kill with MP only with only 30% attack buff. Finally, for room 3 your best option is of course Santa Attila, thanks to her event damage bonus. For the numbers, if you give her a level 20 Kaleidoscope and 30% attack buff, she will leave max 9k HP to Artoria in room 3, killing her 82% of the times with MP only. So if you give her just another minor buff of any kind, she will always kill with MP only in room 3. Putting all things together, this is the best possible setup for farming the Lotto node. If you are a free-to-player, you only need a Kaleidoscope in order to use this optimal setup. In room 1 you'll need to use both Attila MP charge and MP damage buff on Paracelsus. If you give him a maximum broken copy of Mary Ship CE with at least 1400 attack stat, that's around level 50, then you are good to go. Otherwise you'll need to use the master attack buff in room 1 in order to guarantee the kill with MP only of the lower HP mobs. As we said before, Chloe will always kill with MP only in room 2, while Attila will leave max 9k HP in room 3 if you don't use the master attack buff. If after all this time and after watching all of my previous video you still haven't leveled up Paracelsus, but you have Nitocris, you can use this setup instead. As we said at the beginning, Nitocris only needs Santa Attila MP damage in order to always kill the lower mobs in room 1. That way you can save Santa Attila MP charge for herself, and you can give her the master attack buff in room 3 in order to always kill with MP only. If you lack both Nitocris and Paracelsus, but you have your own waiver, you can use this setup instead. Of course, since you'll be using Arash with double waiver, this setup will be slower compared to the previous ones. Arash can clear room 1 by himself without external buffs, and this leaves Santa Attila and Chloe with much higher buffs compared to the previous setup, namely 30% attack buff for Chloe and 68% between attack buff and quick buff for Santa Attila. Same deal as before, if you don't have Paracelsus or Nitocris, but you have your own Skadi, you can use this one instead. You'll need to use one of Skadi defense down in room 2 for Chloe in order to guarantee the kill with MP only. Giving all other buffs to Billy in room 3, you'll be able to always kill with MP only using a standard level 20 event CE. If you have Tristan, you can also use him instead of Billy, and with the same level 20 CE, he can leave max 8k HP to Artoria for an easy face card. Just to give you an idea, he will kill with MP only 84% of the times. Finally, we have the completely free-to-player setup with only 4 Mary Ship CEs. The strategy is the same as with the first optimal setup, but this time you'll use all of whoever skilled on Attila in room 2. Just to remind you, Paracelsus will need the master attack buff in room 1, as well as Santa Attila MP charge and MP damage buff. This if you don't have a maximum broken copy of Mary Ship that you have leveled up. For Chloe in room 2, this time you can use any C that you want, since with waiver attack buff and Paracelsus arts buff, she will always kill the mobs in room 2 without problems. And since this time we don't use a Kaleidoscope for Attila, she will always be able to kill with MP only, with the C on the screen. If you want, you can also use any other pure attack stat C, like Golden Sumo, Holy Night Supper. They will work as well. Thanks for watching, I hope this video has been helpful for you guys, and in that case please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel. Any help from you guys, be it a comment or sharing this content with your friend, is very much appreciated. For today that's all guys, I'll see you next time with the next Christmas lottery. Bye bye.